Hello, my name is Casson Crooker, and I'm an American indie game developer currently based in Japan. I've been making music-based games now for 20 years, and most recently have been focusing on audio games, which are games where there are either no visuals at all, or the visuals are secondary to the audio experience. One reason I've been creating audio games is that they are equally accessible for blind and low vision folks, as well as sighted players. The other reason is that I think there are unique and interesting game mechanics that emerge when other senses are engaged. As a composer of electronic music, I'm interested in how people can interact with music as part of a gameplay experience, especially one where using your ears to build listening skills is essential to both play and win. We're so reliant on our sight as our primary sense that when a game requires a different sense completely, we're taken out of our comfort zone. It's in this new, somewhat foreign space that I believe innovative game experiences can flourish. I began working on the EKOLOKE prototype about 2 months ago as an experiment to see what sort of game ideas might work at the intersection of mixed reality and audio-focused gameplay. I chose mixed reality using the MetaQuest 3 for 2 reasons. The first is that the mixed reality gameplay occurs in the real world and in a myriad of different rooms. With every player's play space being different, the game needs to adjust to these changing conditions. With the tech being so brand new, I think there are a lot of unexplored ideas here. And second, the Meta headset provides highly accurate head tracking and spatial audio rendering, which is essential in creating an audio game where the player is relying on their hearing. For my first experiments, I wanted to limit the amount of movement the player would need to do, and create a minigame where they could focus on honing their listening skills. I wanted them to get more acclimated to the audio game experience first, and then feel more comfortable with more complex levels where they had to move around more freely. I created the Robot Highway minigame with a simple premise. There are good robots that make music, and evil robots that don't. I fashioned some simple splines that the robots travel on at different speeds, but all in the same direction. The robots all essentially look the same, so the player can use these visual cues to get close to the robots to be able to listen to them, to then determine whether or not they make music and are good, or don't make music and are bad. Evil robots need to be avoided or you instantly lose the level, and good robots are collected by intersecting your head with their position in space. After finishing this relatively simple minigame, I wanted to create something a bit more challenging. Building on the Robot Highway design, I expanded the game to have many more robots, traveling on splines, going in all different directions and angles. Additionally, the robots are now moving in both directions and at higher speeds. This means that the player needs to be aware of the robots coming at them in both directions as part of the capture mechanic. Additionally, with splines now all around you, and some being quite close to each other, the player has to be careful when moving around the space. They need to focus on listening for the evil robots when moving their body and head around to intersect with the different splines. After experimenting with these game designs, I wanted to expand further into the player's room space and have them focus on using their ears to collect things. The first prototype I built to experiment with this is Mosquito Hunt. In the room with you are 3 annoying mosquitoes darting around and in search of food. They fly around randomly, but as you go hunting for them, they sense your presence and start to harass the player, flying all around their head. Because the mosquito is so small, the player can't really see it until they get very close to its position. But of course, they can hear its high-pitched whine much sooner. This helps guide the player to their location quickly enough to smack them between their hands. For the final prototype, I centered on the idea that musical butterflies are flying all around you in your room. To collect them, you must move freely about your space, but of course be aware of walls, objects, and furniture. In the first, and most simplistic prototype, once again there are good butterflies that make music, and bad butterflies that have shunned the music and just make noise. As the player moves around the space, they are listening for the good butterflies to collect, again with their head, or avoiding the bad butterflies, which can harm the player and restart the level. While this level isn't particularly challenging, it's fun to move around your space and get close to the floating butterflies and choose to collect or avoid them based on whether they're making music or not. I think this is also the level where players first realize they can really start to trust their ears and separate the good audio from the bad audio more quickly and intuitively. I then expanded on this game design with a similar level, but this time the bad butterflies that can harm you are now completely invisible. The player can freely move around the space again, but now we have to listen carefully and really intently so as to not walk directly into the path of the evil butterflies. And since the evil butterflies are also flying around the space, they might come in your direction from behind, above, in all directions. For me, this experiment was the first moment where the game really starts to become challenging, and focusing your hearing is 100% essential. It's also the first time I think players really realize how powerful their hearing can be when focused on so intently. This new feeling of sensory power now prepares them for the final minigame prototype of the Butterfly series. In this final and most challenging level, all the evil butterflies are now banished, but all the good butterflies are now invisible and must be located and collected by sound alone. It is this experiment that really puts the listening skills in EKOLOKE to their ultimate test. Now, let's listen to this level and watch the gameplay evolve. My goal with EKOLOKE is to continue experimenting with more audio-first game design ideas. Once I feel like there are enough ideas to create many levels, my hope is to expand the idea into a full mixed reality game to release publicly.